I'm Flint Ballantyne, president of Ballantyne Gear. In North Texas, our soffits are usually 1/8-inch plywood, supported by rafter tails or trusses. These are perfect for installing an Eveook system. However, some areas have soffits that might bend from the pressure of the Eveooks when installed. Typically, these are aluminum or vinyl soffits that do not have support from rafter tails or trusses. For better understanding of this video, the viewer will need to be familiar with the two-person installation, which can be found in the description below. Since most soffits here in North Texas aren't positioned the same as the aluminum and vinyl soffits that we are describing, we placed a piece of plywood under the eave from the fascia to the external wall to simulate the soffits that we need to protect. You are looking at the SoffitGuard plates and foam wedges. With the attached Velcro, place and secure the wedges on the outside of the plates, with the sloped edges sloping towards the middle, as shown. To prepare for installation, in the image, you can see the placement of the gear for the two-person installation on the first side of the structure with the addition of a SoffitGuard that is attached to a rope with a nano carabiner. The other side of the rope is attached to a carabiner. The rope is long enough to reach the roof edge from the ground. On the back of the Eveook, we have wrapped a blackbird tail and connected the two ends with a nano carabiner. The blackbird tail is a 44-inch cord with loops on the ends. On the second side of the structure, you can see the layout of the gear in preparation for the two-person installation, with the addition of a SoffitGuard that is attached to the adjustable lifeline on the opposite end of the rope from the goblin. A blackbird tail is also attached to the back of the second Eveook. Not shown as a part of a normal installation, first installer used the line launcher to send the anchor line from the Eveook on the first side to the second side of the structure. Second installer attaches the anchor line to his or her harness to keep the line taut, while installer on the first side goes through the process of attaching the Eveook to the eave on the first side. First installer lifts the Eveook above the ground, which is being maintained in position by the second installer that is holding the other side of the anchor line. First installer attaches the rope from the SoffitGuard to a gear loop on his harness and then climbs the ladder to the roof edge. Reaching through the ladder with arms wrapped around the ladder rail, first installer lifts the Eveook and attaches it to the roof edge. Second installer that has continued to maintain tension on the anchor line now attaches the Eveook to the anchor line on the second side so that the Eveook is suspended above the ground. Second installer then lifts the Eveook 2 to 3 inches, causing the first Eveook to lower slightly. First installer lifts the SoffitGuard with the attached rope and places it between the soffit and the Eveook wheels, with the foam wedges on the bottom of the plate. You may want to pull back on the bottom wheels of the Eveook to facilitate placement of the SoffitGuard. First installer removes the rope from the SoffitGuard to prevent a potential accident resulting from someone pulling on the dangling rope. First installer presses the Eveook snugly against the roof edge, which is held in position by the suspended Eveook on the other side. First installer removes the blackbird tail from the Eveook and then wraps the cord around the Eveook body and through the hole in the SoffitGuard as shown to prevent the SoffitGuard from accidentally falling to the ground and to facilitate lowering the Eveook when the system is dismantled. With Eveook suspended on second side, second installer detaches his or her lanyard from the goblin and attaches it to his chest D-ring for storage. Installer then attaches prusik, house protection, and adjustable lifeline to his or her harness. As a reminder, the opposite side of the adjustable lifeline is attached to the SoffitGuard. Second installer reattaches lanyard to goblin, as shown, and then lifts the Eveook to the roof edge, as is done with a normal installation. Note, the soffit on the second side of the structure in this video is only 5 inches deep and not deep enough to demonstrate a SoffitGuard installation. So the remainder of the second side installation will be shown at the simulated soffit that was shown at the beginning of the video. Installer attaches the Eveook snugly to the roof edge. Installer lowers the Eveook 2 to 3 inches. Installer raises the soffit guard that is on the end of the adjustable lifeline and installs it as was done on the first Eveook. Installer then completes installation of the second Eveook. Installer safely attaches the adjustable lifeline. Installer detaches the tail of the adjustable lifeline from the soffit guard and then wraps the blackbird tail around the Eveook and through the hole in the soffit guard. When the system is dismantled, the soffit guards will lower without any additional effort.